WCNC Charlotte. This is Flashpoint.
Thanks for joining us here on Flashpoint. I'm Ben Thompson. We are now just days away from the 2024 primary here in North Carolina, but some recent laws passed by the General Assembly could change how quickly we see results on Tuesday night. Last year, Republican lawmakers in Raleigh passed new rules that change when early votes and absentee ballots get counted on election night. By delaying the count, you delay the results. But this week, some folks online mistakenly claiming it's some sham by elections officials, when in fact, they're simply following this new law. Joining us now is the executive director of the North Carolina State Board of Elections, Brinson Bell. Karen, welcome back to Flashpoint. Nice to have you.
Glad to be back. Thank you.
There are some changes to your process, thanks to a couple of bills passed by the General Assembly. What effect does that have on when races can get called on Tuesday night? Because I want to set expectations here that people think there's nothing wrong, that this is the way it's going to be, and this is intentional Tuesday. What's different?
Really glad you're helping us get the word out about this. There was a change by the North Carolina legislature to the way that we report results. For a long time now, we have had the early voting results released at the same time as absentee by mail results, which would be at the close of polls. So typically 7:30 p.m. election night. And that's because we've held a meeting to tabulate those votes on election day afternoon. The legislature changed that process. We will release the absentee by mail results, which will be the ballots for probably about 12,000 voters in North Carolina, maybe a little bit more. But we have most of our votes typically cast during early voting in North Carolina, and those results no longer can be released at 7:30 p.m. Instead, the legislature directed the county boards of elections that they will close and tabulate those machines at 7:30 p.m., which will delay our ability to upload those results to the election night reporting website. So the county boards will be doing that as they close the election day polls as well, and all those polling places across the state, which is about 2,500 locations. And we will just, as we can, upload the results from early voting and upload the election day results as well.
What is your idea? What's your general estimate as far as how late those early vote numbers will start coming in then, as far as counting?
We're really not certain. This is new for us. But obviously, just to do that process, even for a single early voting site, is going to be, probably about 30 minutes. So, I think the earliest we will see early voting results released would be 8 p.m. And then after that, when you consider that we have some jurisdictions, some counties that have 10, 15, 20 early voting sites, that's going to be a lengthier process. And so it may be an hour or more, maybe even 2 hours before we see those results posted for those particular counties, including our largest, Mecklenburg and Wake.
Understanding that you are paid to administer the law, not to make it. What was the sort of thought behind changing this? What did this remedy, or what did this fix?
We were part of writing this legislation. This was not an ask by the State Board of Elections or the county boards of elections. So I can't give you the insight of why the legislature chose to insert this into what was Senate Bill 747, which was about a 65-page bill that had other changes to election law that we have implemented in a very short window of time from when it was passed in mid-October. Most of those are on the administration side, including this process of election night reporting. But this is one that actually will be voter facing, as we say. This one, voters will notice this change.
One of the other big changes, absentee ballots. Folks have to make sure that they are in at their county election office by election day, as opposed to in the past, there'd be a few days lag sometimes, and that could alter things if it was a really tight race. So now your absentee ballot has to be in by election day. What are you telling folks to make sure that their vote is counted?
Yes. For decades, North Carolina's deadline was really a postmarked deadline of election day and then received 3 days after the election. The legislature did change that, and this is the With this election, we now require absentee by mail ballots to be in the hands of the County Board of Elections by 7:30 p.m. election day. Now, that means the mail must have been delivered to the County Board of Elections, or if you're uncertain if a ballot will be delivered on time, then you need to hand deliver that to the County Board of Elections by 7:30 p.m. in order for that to be counted.
Back in 2020, it took a few days before there was a projected winner in the presidential race here. Given that we are such a competitive state, are you expecting possible delays again this November? Or do you think some of these changes that you have just outlined for us might prevent that and might help in reaching a conclusion a little bit faster?
You know, we are keeping in mind that right now we're dealing with a primary. So this is the nominating process. And so typically what we're looking for here are the results such that we would have a second primary in a contest where a candidate does not get 30% plus one. Obviously, as we go into the general election, North Carolina is a competitive state, and we've got some really significant contests on this ballot this year. And we know we will have a new governor, we will have a new attorney general, we will have new members of the legislature and council of state, we will have 6 new members of Congress, and that is just because we either have no incumbent or the districts are new. And so, with those pivotal contests, with North Carolina having close elections forever, really, that's North Carolina. We will do what we can do to get the results out as quickly and as accurately as possible. But we are going to go through the processes of the provisional ballots. The military and overseas citizens actually do have a longer period of time to get those ballots to us. And so with all of that, it may come down to those very critical ballots. And we'll just have to wait and see how competitive we really are.
Brinson Bell, the Executive Director of the North Carolina State Board of Elections, you got a big job this week. Thanks for coming on. We do appreciate it.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
Coming up later in the show, we're breaking down the top 3 congressional races to watch Tuesday night. But before that, Charlotte City Council hitting another snag in its fight over transit funding. Ahead, Councilwoman Dimple Ajmira on where city leaders go from here.